Mr. Speaker, we now know the government's first vaccine deal with Chinese pharmaceutical giant CanSino fell apart almost immediately after the Prime Minister announced it. It only took a week for the Chinese state to stop the necessary material from being exported to Canada so research and production could happen. It was the only leading vaccine that the Liberal government was pushing to be made in Canada. Why did it take the government 3 months to admit that the CanSino deal had fallen apart?
The Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, from the very beginning, we knew that signing deals for vaccines with as many different companies as possible was going to be the best way of ensuring that Canadians made it through this pandemic. That's exactly what we did. We signed a record number of vaccine deals with potential vaccine makers, and that's why we now have more vaccine doses potentially per person than anyone else. Yes, we cast the net very wide. Some of the deals didn't work out, including the CanSino, but we secured early doses for Canadians through the deals we did agree to.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
The Prime Minister says he cast the net wide. Well, Providence Therapeutics is a Canadian company that has been part of the COVID-19 vaccine race. They submitted a proposal to the Liberal government in April for a vaccine. They didn't hear back, Mr. Speaker, until August, the same time the government rolled out Pfizer and Moderna, who would not make vaccines in Canada. After months of global hoarding of PPE and supply issues in the first wave of the campaign, why did the Liberal government abandon the chance to make a vaccine here in Canada?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I think most Canadians understand that what was incredibly important during this pandemic was to make our decisions informed by the recommendations of our top scientists and health officers and medical professionals, and that's what we did. We followed the advice of the Vaccine Task Force on who to sign deals with and how to move forward, but I'm very pleased to highlight that we've actually given $10 million to Providence Therapeutics for them to commence their clinical trials to support Made in Canada solutions as well. But science has guided us every step of the way.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Speaker, the Prime Minister waited 5 months to even respond to a Canadian company that could make the vaccine here. And months are an eternity in the worldwide race for vaccines. In June, the National Research Council told committee that the CanSino agreement was still going ahead. In July, the government told CTV that the vaccine, the CanSino, was going to be produced in Canada. The government was negotiating with other manufacturers while all this was going on. Why didn't the government get the right to produce any of these vaccines in Canada when the Prime Minister knew that the CanSino deal was dead?
Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Again, Mr. Speaker, this government based our decisions on the best recommendations of the top scientists and experts in vaccinations and epidemiology across the country to make the right decisions. That guided us every step of the way. Yes, we looked to sign deals with as many different companies as possible to ensure that we'd get the vaccines as they started to arrive for Canadians, and that's exactly what we're doing. We had a strong and aggressive plan to do that, and we're delivering for Canadians.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Actually, there's no delivery for Canadians this week, Mr. Speaker. L'approvisionnement européen des vaccins avec l'entreprise Pfizer et Moderna soulève des inquiétudes
or for delivery of European vaccines with Pfizer and Moderna is raising concerns for Canada. There is vaccine protectionism going on here. And ultimately, there is a price war happening with fierce competition on a global scale. Has this Prime Minister picked up the phone to call European leaders to ensure that our vaccines will be delivered? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Yes, Mr. Speaker. An hour ago, I spoke to Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, to raise our concerns. We are all looking forward to receiving the vaccine doses that we bought under that contract. And I was reassured to hear that the transparency measures taken by Europe will not affect Pfizer and Moderna deliveries to Canada. The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Mr. Speaker, Canadians are frustrated, and they are concerned about the issues with vaccine deliveries. In fact, their anxiety is reaching a high level with the new variants of COVID. Canadians deserve better, Mr. Speaker. When will this Prime Minister take action and tell Canadians the truth on the real vaccine delivery dates? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, I find it a bit disturbing to hear the leader of the opposition play petty politics and suggest that we are not telling Canadians the truth. On the contrary, from the very beginning, we have shown rigor and transparency. We have been sharing all of our dates and projections that we receive from the vaccine companies with the provinces and territories. We will continue to be transparent. If the leader of the opposition really wants to reassure Canadians during this pandemic, he should start by avoiding misleading Canadians.